Racism has been a persistent issue in this country since its inception, manifesting through slavery, the genocide of Native Americans, Jim Crow laws, and internment camps. Despite numerous federal and state-level laws enacted to prevent the recurrence of such injustices, racism remains a significant problem today. Racism is defined as any prejudice or discrimination against individuals based on their race or ethnic group. While most people recognize this as morally wrong, many still unintentionally harbor racist views. Anonymous social media listening data reveals a significant amount of racist sentiment. It's challenging to accurately measure the extent of racism, as people are unlikely to admit their biases in polls. However, people often express these views more openly online, allowing location-based monitoring of tweets and Google searches to provide valuable insights. It's important to note that although these states have a notable presence of racist individuals, the majority of people in these states are not racist. Here are the 10 most racist states in America. Number 10, Maryland. On the surface, Maryland doesn't seem particularly racist. It ranks as one of the least systemically racist states, boasting the 12th smallest income gap by race and being the 11th most racially integrated in workplaces, schools, and voting booths. Therefore, it is surprising that 16.59% of Twitter accounts discussing race in Maryland used hateful or derogatory language. This is especially unexpected considering that many researchers attribute racism primarily to poor education, yet Maryland is the 4th most educated state. However, given its racist history, this phenomenon is not entirely unexpected. Interracial marriage was illegal in Maryland until 1967, and the towns of Rising Sun and Thomont once hosted KKK chapter headquarters. Despite its nickname as the Free State, Maryland was one of the last states to abolish slavery, only doing so in November 1864. While few people today act on racist views, with only 11 hate crimes based on race or religion reported in 2020, the state's dark history of racism still casts a shadow, particularly in its rural areas. Number 9, West Virginia. There are numerous Reddit posts from people of color expressing fear about visiting West Virginia due to its reputation as the most racist state, and our data somewhat supports this, showing that 16.78% of West Virginian tweets about race use hateful rhetoric. Unlike Maryland, where racism is often subtle, many West Virginians are openly racist. Several Reddit users report hearing white people commonly use the N-word and advise POC to stay quiet and avoid bars, where racist views and alcohol can create dangerous situations. One Redditor noted, "There is a lot of racism here. I know some of you will say you don't see it, but I know you do. When we have to tell people to wear WVU gear to blend in and stay away from bars for their safety, that's a big racism problem." However, it's also important to mention that most West Virginians are incredibly welcoming. With 97.4% of the population being white, many people, especially in rural areas, may have never seen someone with a different skin tone in their lives. This ignorance likely contributes to their racist views. On a positive note, West Virginia has the 10th lowest employment gap by race and the 2nd lowest income gap. However, this might be due to the lack of high-paying jobs, resulting in minimal disparity since everyone is struggling financially. Number 8, Arkansas. Given the presence of signs like these and a former Arkansas County sheriff caught on camera using racial slurs, including the N-word, it's unsurprising that Arkansas is on this list. What's surprising, though, is that it's only one of 2 southern states to make the cut, despite many first-hand accounts claiming the South has the most in-person racism. This could be because the majority of the racist population in southern states is older, and many older people don't use Twitter. In Arkansas, 16.83% of tweets discussing race did so in a hateful way. This isn't surprising considering the state has the largest number of hate groups per capita and is home to the modern-day Ku Klux Klan, headquartered in Zinc. Zinc is only a 20-minute drive from Harrison, Arkansas, often considered the most racist town in America. While not everyone in Harrison is racist and many young people are trying to change its reputation, many older residents are openly proud of their hateful views. Number 7. Kansas. Kansas is the first state on our list where the data indicates a systemic issue with racism. The income disparity by race ranks 34th worst in the country, and it's 37th in terms of racial integration. Having traveled extensively throughout Kansas, I'm actually surprised it didn't rank lower. In Wichita, for instance, there's a palpable division between Black, Latino, and white neighborhoods. The same situation exists in the suburbs of Kansas City. As one Redditor mentioned, the older generation seems to believe that an influx of minorities, or even the perception of their presence, directly reduces property value and desirability. Another Reddit user from rural Kansas noted, "You'll definitely hear unkind comments about minorities, especially illegals and Muslims. It's not surprising that many elderly individuals hold racist views, as some lived during the Jim Crow era. Unfortunately, this racism appears to have been passed down to younger generations, as evidenced by the fact that 16.95% of all race-related tweets from Kansas are hateful or derogatory." Number 6. Wisconsin. Aside from dairy consumption and the Packers, many people outside of Wisconsin likely know little about the state. However, there's more to note. In 2020 alone, 74 hate crimes were reported in Wisconsin. The state also ranks poorly in terms of racial integration and income disparity by race, being the worst and 43rd respectively. The president of the Milwaukee Bucks highlighted this issue, stating, "Milwaukee is the most segregated, racist place I have ever experienced in my life." This sentiment is supported by the history of Milwaukee's suburbs, such as Brookfield, which were established through racist policies like redlining and blockbusting. Schools in Milwaukee remained segregated until the 1970s. One Reddit user from Brookfield shared their experience, "In my 30 years here, I've encountered significant racism and prejudice. Despite sharing the same socioeconomic status and being highly educated, it seems all black people are considered thugs. I've faced harsh stereotypes at neighborhood gatherings and have been stopped by police multiple times near my home for no reason. My husband was even accused of breaking into our own home while moving furniture." Given these accounts, it's unsurprising that 16.98% of race-related tweets from the area were hateful. Number 5. Hawaii. The land of rainbows isn't colorblind, but the issue might not be what you expect. While 17.06% of tweets mentioning race in the state were deemed derogatory, further investigation revealed that many of these offensive tweets stemmed from ignorance rather than hatred. Due to the popularity of rap music and the simultaneous lack of a significant black culture in the state, one Redditor explains, "You'll hear the N-word a lot on the Big Island, not by racists, but by people who grew up on rap and don't fully realize the severity of the word." Another user notes, "The racism you'll encounter won't be hostile but very ignorant." Hawaii and the mainland have very different definitions of political correctness. Everyone makes comments about and jokes about race. In terms of institutional racism, Hawaii is actually the least racist state. It has the lowest employment gap by race, the 8th lowest income gap, and is ranked as having the best racial integration in workplaces, schools, and voting booths. Number 4, Mississippi. Wait, really? So, you're saying we're not at the bottom of the barrel for once? About time. Well, technically, yes, but hold your applause. The proportion of tweets with hateful racial content is still a concerning 18.59%. That's a significant increase from Hawaii. And despite Mississippi being the lone Deep South representative here, known by many as possibly the most racially charged region in the nation, this study isn't flawless. So, who's to say Mississippi isn't still the worst? Consider this, it boasts the 8th largest racial employment gap and the 12th largest income disparity, even while having the lowest incomes nationally. Remarkably, just last year, Mississippians voted to strike down a Jim Crow-era law from their constitution, a historic first. This provision, aimed at barring black Americans from holding office, singled out Mississippi as the sole state capable of denying a majority vote winner from assuming office. And it seems to have succeeded, given that no black candidate has ever won a statewide election here, despite Mississippi having the highest percentage of black residents in the nation. Number 3, Maine. While Maine's legislation and work environments appear to actively oppose racism, evidenced by its 2nd lowest racial employment gap and 17th lowest income gap, pervasive racial prejudice persists. With over 95% of Maine's population being white and much of it residing in rural areas, exposure to diversity is limited, particularly outside Portland. Consequently, many Mainers exhibit ignorance that underpins racial bias. As described by a Reddit user, racially insensitive remarks, such as mocking Asian cuisine or using derogatory language, are common in workplaces, often perceived as humorous despite their offensiveness. Moreover, observations of Confederate flags and instances of racial hostility towards immigrant communities further highlight underlying racial tensions. This trend extends to online platforms, where nearly a fifth of race-related tweets contain hateful or racist language. Number 2, South Dakota. Even though Wyoming, a state often regarded as one of the least racist according to a study, is right next door, South Dakota unmistakably earns its place on the list for different reasons. Not only do 20% of tweets mentioning race in the state contain derogatory language, but South Dakota also exhibits the second largest disparity in employment and the most significant gap in income. According to WalletHub, it ranks as the third most segregated state in the nation. The situation worsens when considering workplaces, schools, and polling stations. Despite being one of the least ethnically homogeneous states in the Great Plains, with only 84% of the population identifying as white and a substantial portion identifying as indigenous, discriminatory practices persist. One Reddit user bluntly shares their experience: "I've witnessed landlords and employers openly reject applicants based solely on their Native American names or appearance, a practice they admitted to doing routinely." Similar testimonies flood the platform, including one individual recounting their encounter during a law enforcement job interview, where they were asked multiple times if they would target Native Americans solely based on their ethnicity before deciding to leave. South Dakota's historical prejudice against Native Americans appears deeply ingrained and continues to manifest in contemporary society. Number 1, Delaware. What on earth, Delaware? It's such an unexpected finding, I agree. I actually double and triple checked the data to ensure its accuracy, but it holds true. A staggering 21.4% of tweets concerning race in Delaware were derogatory. In stark contrast, Vermont emerged as the least racially intolerant state, with only 6.96% of race-related tweets being hateful. So, America, and Delaware in particular, there's definitely room for improvement here. Seriously, who even resides in Delaware? This might mark both the debut and finale of Delaware on such lists, given its insignificance due to its size. No offense intended, but as of now, Delaware can claim to be at the top in this aspect, though it's not something to boast about, really. Do you want to know which are the 10 countries of America in which black people live more? Then click the video on the screen. Thanks for watching.